After a while trying to find her way through the sewers, with her companions carrying the recruit's corpse, Penny finally finds an opening that might seem like where she is trying to go. Upon further inspection on this exit that leads to a very dark alley, Penny spots some strange fellas, that look very emo, doing some weird ritual with a few guys serving as sacrifices on a type of large crucifix. But Penny notices they might have wandered a little too close to the unknown, as a whole bunch of worm lovers start flooding the alley. Penny does not think this is the right way, but might as well stay for the entertainment. Now let's meet our street fighters. We have Dead Souls running an interesting list, with 2 sacrifices, 2 banshees, 2 lithogeists and the dark priest themselves. The list revolves around lithogeists for a quick impact, remediated by their wall creation on kill, due to their upgrade, which can benefit the banshees who attack through walls gaining strength if they do, and if they kill, the unit leaves a adverse terrain instead of a corpse, with both of these units having a good lot of corpse denial, which is specially good against Hellminth. They also have 2 sacrifices to use for unit dislocation and weak generation with Beacon. This list consists of placing a bunch of walls with soul abilities and the units. To them use the pull on the units to set up for big damage with the banshees. No, on to the other side. Hellminth is running a list consisting of 4 peons, 3 knights, and the Nephilim. The list revolves around the 6 soul, Transcendence, which evolves all allied units on the board, which combines really well with the knights and their ability to upgrade twice, gaining a strength each time with their upgrade. The peons are mostly there to be used as soul and corpse generation, as well as a good damage source, which in this match did not get to matter much, as almost all of the Dead Souls units have armor against magic damage. This list consists on a few very strong units to make a very big impact. Now that we know the lists, let's head to battle. Hellminth gets the highest roll, and decides to take the first turn. At the start of round 1, 2 walls are placed adjacent to the Lithogeists. Due to their trait, 2 peons activate first, both using shed flesh, gaining 1 vitality, and if they survive, spawning 2 corpses at the beginning of their next turn. Due to the upgrade, a Lithogeist then activates, teleports adjacent to a wall, and uses Stangle on a peon barely hitting with a 2, pulling 1 dealing 2 damage and killing it. On death it spawns a wall instead of a corpse due to its upgrade. The last peon uses shed flesh in order to not get killed by the last Lithogeist. The sacrifices activate, and one of them moves to the middle of the board and deals 1 damage to a peon, removing vitality. The other one uses Beacon on another peon, and because they are isolated and due to the upgrade, they get pulled 1 and receive a weak. A knight moves and uses Impaler on the sacrifice, stepping 1 and dealing 1 toxic damage. A Lithogeist teleports, and once more uses Strangle on a peon, rolling a 2 again, dealing 2 damage, killing it and spawning a wall. A knight activates and hits a wall for 1 damage. A banshee uses Tombstone, raising a wall to block off the enemies. The other knight moves and finishes destroying the wall. A banshee moves and uses Bale Scream, going through walls and dealing 1 curse damage to a knight, then gains a strength because it pierced a wall. The Nephilim activates and evolves, gaining 1 soul and health, and then it uses Swat Nuisance on a wall, dealing 2 damage, and then proceeds to move into a wall, destroying it due to the trait. The Dark Priest moves through a wall due to its trait and uses Tear Soul on the injured knight, dealing 1 damage and applying 2 weak. And that's the end of round 1, with Dark Souls having killed 2 units already, but at the same time playing into Hellminth's hand. Round 2 begins with both peons activating and dropping 2 corpses on their spaces. They then move forward and hit the sacrifices, 1 dealing 0 damage due to its weak, and the other kills the sacrifice, almost getting doomed due to the trait. The Banshee then acts, using Bale Scream, going through walls and dealing 2 damage to the knight due to strength, turning the knight into adverse terrain, due to the upgrade, and it then gets its strength back. The Nephilim activates evolving once more, to get 1 soul and health. It then uses 6 souls for Transcendence, evolving every other unit on the board. The knights take Thirsting Blade and the peons take Burrowing Mandible. We kinda forgot to give the knights strength because of their upgrade, but we remembered later. The Nephilim then moves breaking a wall and uses Black Talon, hitting the Lithogeist for 4 damage, slaying it. At the start of the Dark Priest's turn it uses 1 soul for Cyclopean Monolith, placing a wall and giving weak. It then grazes a peon with Doomblade, removing vitality, and moves away. A knight hits a wall for 1 damage, and moves into better position. Banshee lines up, and shoots with Bale Scream, dealing 1 damage to the Dark Priest, Peon, and Knight, all nullified by mag armor, and corpses as vitality. It then gains a Strang. The Knight destroys the wall and moves. Lithogeist teleports into elevation, and hits Peon with Strangle, killing it and making a wall. The Sacrifice beckons the Knight and moves in order to regroup. And that concludes round 2, with it now looking much more in Helminth's favor. Round 3 begins with the Nephilim attacking the Dark Priest with Black Talon, but due to Puppet Master, the attack is redirected, exploding a Sacrifice instead. The Banshee uses Bale Scream, hitting the Dark Priest, Peon and Knight, dealing 2 damage to the Peon and removing a vitality from it and the Knight. It then gains a Strang. The Knight evolves into Executioner, and attacks the Dark Priest with the Black Blade, dealing 2 damage with Strang. If it were to be body blocked, it could insta-kill a Banshee. The Lithogeist teleports and kills the Peon with Strangle, leaving a wall instead of corpse. A Knight moves and destroys the wall in front of the Banshee, with Strang. At the start of the Dark Priest's turn, it uses 1 soul with Twist Sinews to move the Knight out of body block range to the Nephilim. It then uses Doomblade, hitting the Nephilim for 1 damage, and applying a Doom. At the start of the Banshee's turn, the Dark Priest illegally places a wall in front of it. The Banshee then Bale Screams, dealing 3 damage to the Nephilim due to Strang and it being isolated. And that's the end of the round, with Dead Souls catching back up. Round 4 begins and the Knight uses Black Blade on the Dark Priest, which is body blocked into a Banshee, grazing for 2 damage due to Strang. At the start of the Banshee's turn, the Dark Priest uses a soul to place a wall separating a Knight. It then uses Bale Scream, hitting a Knight for 1 and the Nephilim for 3 damage with Strang and it being doomed. The Nephilim then, in desperation, moves, destroying a wall, and luckily hits a Lithogeist with Black Talon for 5 damage, killing it and removing a Doom. The Dark Priest moves and hits the Nephilim with Great Urgle Blade, dealing 3 damage and vitality. The Knight evolves to Executioner, gaining a Strang and destroys a wall. The Banshee then Bale Screams the Nephilim, dealing 3 damage and ending the game. And that was a hell of a fight. Along the whole match the lead was leaning on both sides, but at the end Dead Souls take the win. If Helminth played a little better on some occasions, they surely would have taken the win. And that goes to show how close the match was. If the game had not ended on round 4, it was very likely that Helminth would get back up, and maybe win due to a health advantage. Overall, that was a great match. The corpse denial from both the Lithogeist and the Banshee played a major role on their victory. On the other hand, the Nephilim absolutely demolished, making way through walls and insta-killing the 2 toughest units on Dead Souls' side. All in all, a good match. As the dust settles, Penny notices a Sacrifice, who particularly does not seem all that willing to be there. She thinks that might be one of the recruits, surely, right? She bolts of takes them while no one is looking and goes back to the sewers. Sadly, there is no time to remove him from the cross, so guess that will do. The group then makes their way to find another sewer exit, closer to their destination. Hello everyone, thank you all very much for sticking until the end. Today I would like to ask you all if you prefer longer videos, around 10 to 12 minutes, or the shorter ones with 7 to 9. Anyways, hope you all are doing good, and until another day.